conversion rate goes up or down?
It depends.
It depends, but all things being equal, probably I would suggest that it might go down. In any case, no proof, no mathematical proof that would suggest to you that it's likely to go up unless you actually test. But I would argue that paralysis of choice, you have way too many things probably in front of the user's face, and each time you choose to add one more thing, most likely you're actually competing with the objective of increasing a conversion metric. Yes, and who are you, sir?
Jason. I'm Jason Cohen. I have a blog, asmartbear.com, and I'm not pushing a startup, having done 3. That's enough already.
Good plug.
Features are like having sex. You make one mistake and you have to support it for life. Yes? So
No, it is true. I don't agree with that. Like, we can abort features all the time. You're like pro-life or something with your feature selection?
This is Texas. We don't abort anything.
I'm not pro-life.
I've seen some of you guys late at night. You've aborted a lot of stuff.
Thanks for that, Jason.
I would just like to, so after adding that constructive comment, I was promised a fight.
Okay.
In the description of this thing, it was that it's Dave McClure versus Eric Ries, not Dave McClure and Eric Ries. It was like a versus.
Yeah.
There's like I would be the VS.
I don't promise any truth in advertising. This was total bait and switch, motherfucker.
Okay, well.
We're going to talk a little bit about the power of marketing. My suggestion was that we call this an evening in which Dave interviews Eric on stage. Dave was like, no one's going to come to that. you can tell Dave is the one with the background in marketing, not me. So yes.
What would you like me to give him shit about?
Okay, so here's what I would like to give. So I do love the lean stuff actually, and we talk about it all the time.
Thank you.
And we talk about it so much that I feel super saturated with it. And so I'd like to sort of like push back a little.
Please, let's hear it.
A little.
Already.
Which I thought you were going to do.
You were supposed to tweet me some shit, and I actually haven't checked my phone, so maybe you had some stuff there that you were supposed to send me. But I do agree with you that very little learning comes from violent agreement, so we should disagree a little bit and maybe choose to learn some things from there. So what would you propose?
All right, out with it.
Well, one talking point, and then I'll leave because this is your show. And I've already pushed my blog, which is asmartbear.com.
asmartbear.com.
Once is enough.
Yeah.
asmartbear.com, but just once.
Yeah, but don't plug asmartbear.com again.
No, not again. That would be just like an egotistical display to promote one's own, oh, sorry guys.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear anything more about asmartbear.com.
Fine, we won't talk about asmartbear.com anymore.
All right,
okay, so
all right, bring it on.
little instigator comment, and then I'll leave again.
Let's do it.
Is the theory is awesome, and it makes a ton of sense, and everybody, I think, in this room is probably in agreement, which is already a problem. But what are the examples of companies who have used these, and I don't want to say, and here's the other thing, wait, the companies that have used these principles to be successful,
Yep.
that are not Enview, and are not anything Steve Blank has ever written about.
Right.
I want something else, because if it only works in a couple of cases, then it's too hard for the rest of us to emulate. And it may be due to other things anyway, but even if it's not due to other things,
Yeah, that's right.
what are other things, and if not, then what?
Toyota!
So that was an excellent.
Don't let him say Toyota. That's your thing.
Oh, okay.
I'll
That was
accept that.
poor heckle. Wait, I just want to paraphrase that comment from smartbear.com. So a couple of things that were in there. One is prove it, motherfucker.
Yeah.
A second one was empirical sample, and some data points that aren't just accident.
Yeah. Well, so let me push back on the premise that the way to know if the theory works is because there's been high-profile success stories that use the theory. I know that's how, as human beings, we like to kind of think about new ideas. And in fact, when I was pushing ideas that eventually became the Lean Startup in my previous companies, I often got the pushback from someone that's like, oh yeah, says who that that's a good idea? And I was like, I don't know, says me. I think it's just a good idea. Let's try and see what happens. We're a startup. And be like, well, is Microsoft using it? And be like, no, who cares that Microsoft is using it? Why would that matter? Why would you believe anything they say about how they work anyway, right? Like, why is that? But they're like, well, who says who? I got says who question. So I was like, well, one day, people who had that question will be like, well, says that guy who writes a blog. So like, okay, at least I'm that guy that you can point to well, at least somebody thinks it's a good idea. But and now I can point to a smart bear. No. I think the bigger question is, I can enumerate companies that I have worked with as a consultant that I think have had success. And those who want to come to the Startup Lessons Learned conference on April 23rd, we're going to have a few case studies.
What?
What's that?
Austin?
What's that? It'll be in San Francisco, but we invite people who want to simulcast to host a viewing party here in Austin. You'd be absolutely welcome to. SLLconf.com if you want to learn more. What's that?
SOL?
SLL. Startup Lessons Learned. SLLconf.
Jesus, who did the marketing on that shit for you?
I know, no, yeah. I should have got Dave McClure to do it. That would be
That's terrible.
I know. Dave will have this fixed by tomorrow.
We'll work on it.
Yeah, please do.
So
the question is, how should you evaluate whether this is true or not?
in the back, watch it. In the back, shut up, watch it.
Because the question is, all right, don't point to any of the companies that you are personally actually involved with, any of you, not you or Steve, and still give me case studies that show this is a good idea. But now I'm in a bind. I can only point to companies where I only have a vague understanding of what actually happened. So those are going to be, I think, the worst kinds of proof that you want. So you read your random business book, what do you see? Great new idea. Hey, did you know that Mozart used it? Did you know that Google uses it? Did you know that the Army uses it? Right? It's like a bunch of random anecdotes that seem to support the idea. None of us should be taking those kinds of validation seriously. The only validation that matters is as follows. A, do the ideas make sense to you? So do you understand what the theory predicts? And then, are you able to put that idea into practice and test whether the parts of the theory in fact do what they say that they're going to do? I think any other form of validation, short of kind of comprehensive academic study, which you're going to have to wait 20 years for, is all you can do at this time. Now, unlike other theories, I really think that the true ones are ones where the part is just as valuable as the whole. So you do not need to buy into absolutely every part of a lean startup. You don't have to start doing continuous deployment tomorrow to start evaluating whether these ideas actually make sense in the context of practicing entrepreneurship. You can take the part of it that makes the most sense to you and put it into practice. That's actually what I would urge you to do, and then test for yourself whether the ideas make sense, right? So just because some guy made a lot of money doing something that he claims that he did, so what? Why does that matter for you? Why should you believe that that's true?
So could I ask a question? I do think there are, I take what you say at face value. I do think we actually need to point to some examples as well. So one that I was hanging out with last night, Drew Houston at Dropbox, is using a lot of lean startup methodology and stuff that he does.
Yep.
About 30% of their feature set is focused on engineering, but a lot of it is focused on A/B landing tests and like looking at adoption cycles. How do you improve those areas? Sean Ellis has worked with a couple of different companies and sort of his philosophies on this. So Zobni is certainly one of those. Log me in as well. How many people have actually been doing any form of landing page tests? Okay. Do you feel like it's working?
Yep.
Okay, don't just like kiss my ass. Do you actually feel like it's working?
Yeah.
Okay. And was that massively different or just only slightly different than when you weren't doing landing pages?
Massive.
Really?
Okay, so we got some case studies.
Okay, so what was massively different about that? Come on up, come on up, come on up.
Anyone want to come talk about it?
Sit down, you bought into it. Who are you? What do you do?
I'm Randy Stewart. My last company, we did a lot of A/B testing.
Oh, okay.
And basically tested a lot of language. We tested a lot of just replacing.
Are you working at a new startup or not?
I'm working at Cheeseburger Network right now.
Cheeseburger, awesome!
Awesome, lolcats, oh yeah.
ICANN has Cheeseburger. ICANN has Cheeseburger doing landing page tests or not?
Not currently.
Oh.
They're making too much money to do landing page tests.
Yeah, I agree with that. Success is a terrible fucking teacher. They did not do very much of that at PayPal either.